Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another podcast. I just muted myself there. Things are going to get wild and crazy this evening. Hello, my name is Rod Morgan. I will be your host this evening. The executive producer of this podcast is Jimmy Jamriska. He is not with us tonight, but the third member of this podcast joins me, and we are going to have some fun. Chris King, it's going to be like late nights back on Petty Street, where you and I are just going to get weird. We're going to get deep on topics. People are going to be like, what are these two talking about? Hello.
Yeah, it's going to be no rules tonight. And if you live in Indiana, make sure you get your fireworks set off today and tomorrow. That's going to be your last shot. After that, Indiana puts the kibosh on fireworks.
That's right. We've had plenty of fireworks going on here in Mishawaka. I don't know what it's been like down there in Bloomington. I imagine there's been plenty of those. There were people, Chris, hoping to shoot off fireworks in celebration of the U.S. MNT. They had a big game versus Belgium in Seattle. We were told, Chris, this was the year that the United States was going to get further than they ever have before. Soccer's, it's here. Let's go. We're a power on the world. And then they got stomped 4-1. And coming out of that game, everybody's like, man, we're really not good at soccer. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought that's what we've said all the time. How come you try to convince me before the game that it was something different? Chris, where are you at with the soccer?
If I was to tell you that the United States was a top 24 type squad in the world before the World Cup started, you probably wouldn't believe me, right? That's what we mean when we're like, hey, we're pretty good at soccer. We can maybe get to the quarterfinals, right? We have an opportunity. And we did. We got to the round of 16, okay? So we did a lot. But what you can't do, especially in football, Rod, especially on the world stage, is give the team you're playing extra ammunition to just hate you even more, right? To want to prove even more that it doesn't matter what kind of strings you pull to get your best player back on the pitch. It doesn't matter what your president does. We're going to just demolish you now. We have this extra gear, this extra drive in us. Why in the world would we even try to do that? Well, because we have an egomaniac as president who wants to put his finger on everything, ruin everything from the Knicks' wondrous, almost undefeated run to the NBA championship, and now he did it to USA Soccer. Whatever this man touches turns to crap and dirt, and it's horrible. And this loss solely rests on his shoulders.
You're saying that FIFA inaugural Peace Prize winner Donald John Trump putting his fingers on the scale, allegedly putting his fingers on the scale to get Balgorn. What's the guy's name, Chris?
Francis, doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Okay.
It doesn't matter the fact that he did it. It's just the fact that he did it. All right. Belgium came out pissed. All right. They wanted to appeal. He was like, no, you can't appeal. What do you, I mean, it's just so ridiculous, Rod. And of course, as soon as I read that happened, like I was like, all the momentum we had, all the gumption, all that, like us against the world, all of that gets lost because now it looks like we're the favorites. We're getting favoritism, right? We should have been the underdog, the plucky guy trying to get up over a good Belgian squad. And no, we just gave one of the better teams in the tournament even more, locker room bulletin board material, right? To just like really rub it into us.
Bulletin board material. So you're so angry about it, you almost forgot bulletin board material. Listen, don't think that you weren't on the Bluffton Tigers back in the day playing football for that school, and whatever your rival was over there near Fort Wayne in Indiana, you probably put some bulletin board material up in your day, Chris. You absolutely know what it is. Here's where I come down on the soccer. Okay, it's not for me. All right, it's not for me. I'm not going to come in and parachute into the World Cup and start talking about midfielders and goalies and defense and coaching. I don't know anything about any of it. I don't understand what an offsides is. I don't know what a VAR is. I don't understand any of it. I don't care. What fascinates me about the World Cup, Chris, and see if you agree with me here, is it's rinse and repeat. Okay. I was 14 years old when the World Cup came here for the first time in 1994. All right. And I got swept up in it. Sports Illustrated for Kids was putting out cards that you could pull out of their magazine with the perforated edges. And it had Alexi Lawless and Kobe Jones and all the guys that were on that team in 94. That team was terrible. I don't even think it got out of group stage, right? But we were all told that this is going to change the course of soccer in America for the rest of the days, right? Okay, maybe it did, right? From that team in 94 to where we are in 2026, we got even further. But where we haven't gotten any further, Chris, is the same exact discourse that happens every time. We start attacking youth soccer. We start attacking the coach. We start saying our players are very, very good. We start attacking the MLS. What's the MLS system doing that's not helping the United States men's national soccer team? Like, why do we do this with soccer, Chris? We don't do very well in luge in the Winter Olympics, but we don't set the United States on fire trying to figure out better ways to do it at the luge world championships in the next 2 years. Why do we do this for soccer?
Because we're jealous, right? All right, we're jealous. Look what the Scots do, right? They come over and they drink a town out of beer. All right, we see the Norwegians come over here and row across the country as a nation. All right, we're jealous, Rod. We don't have that for soccer in America, and we're jealous, and we want it so bad, but we can't get there.
Do you have faith in the United States fan in 2026 that we could even come close to being as dedicated a level of soccer fan as we're seeing from all the fan bases that you just described, Chris? Because I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Like, sure, jealous, that's a great answer by you. I hadn't thought about that we want what the rest of the world seems to have with fun at the World Cup. We like fun. Who's against fun? But I don't think any chance in hell Americans are going to come together and be the kind of fan base that we see supporting these national soccer teams.
No, it would need additional consistent well played soccer for us to watch. Like, hey, oh, we're getting to the semis of the World Cup a few times in a row, or we're consistently starting to beat Mexico in the Copa Gold, Cup every year, and things like that. And I don't know if it's impossible, right? We see it. It's fractionalized, but we see it in college football, especially, all right? The way some of these, especially in the SEC and to a lesser extent, Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, like these schools, Alabama, that rabid fan base, they have their chance in their stadiums every Saturday, right? Just like soccer fans do in the World Cup, they have their chance, they have their rows, everything like that. So I think it's possible because we have that in America. It's just more fractionalized and not behind one specific team.
Do you think, I didn't plan on going this deep with soccer here, but I'm interested in this now. Do you think that if soccer had more of a national prominence here in this country, that it would attract more of our best athletes to play it, right? I'm not trying to denigrate the athletes that play soccer, but I still just am hard time getting past that the best athletes in this country are still funneled to basketball, football, baseball, because that's just what they grow up the most seeing on television, right? I mean,
in America, nope. In America, it's just like this is same thing, Europe or America, right? Your best athletes are going to go where they have the most opportunity to make the most money. In America, that's basketball, that's football, baseball, right? In Europe, that's soccer. In South America, in Central America, that's soccer, all right? Those clubs, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, those clubs start kids off at like 4 or 5 years old, and they have levels all the way up, right? And so they're building in-house talent. Plus, then that gives them, they have the money to go out and buy talent, right? Because you're seeing people like Ronaldo or Mbappe making 80 to $90 million a year in Europe playing soccer right now. You're seeing transfer fees upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars to $250 million for Neymar, I think, at one time. Like, it's insane that amount of money on those European clubs. So until we have a situation where American athletes can see the potential and actually make that money in Europe or start making that type of money in the MLS, then you'll see some of the better athletes. Think about having a guy like a Kobe Bryant who's 6'6", playing as a striker for a USA soccer team. That dude can jump out the stadium. He can get headers in on corners. It's a perfect person to have up front on set pieces. It's insane the kind of athletes we could have on our soccer team, but they're going to go where money is, where fame is, and that's basketball and football.
So they're going to go to the sport where 4 years from now, they're going to make a guaranteed salary of $75.5 million. And you can talk about the deceased Kobe Bryant, Chris, but how about the very much still alive Donovan Mitchell? That's who I'm talking about right now. Donovan Mitchell would seem to have the build and the ability to me to be a wonderful soccer player, right? Because he's a bit on undersized as far as guard play goes, but his burst athleticism is what makes Donovan Mitchell great, right? So what would that guy be like on the soccer pitch? So I think there's definitely something to that. I don't know that it's just as money though, because I would think about it this way. And let me go to live golf here, Chris, to make my point on this. They tried, right? They tried a scenario where, hey, we got all the money in the world. We're just going to throw a bunch of money at the best golfers, and we are literally going to hijack the system, and we are going to have the most money, and that's going to attract the best golfers. And maybe it worked for a little while, but it ultimately folded upon itself, right? So I don't necessarily think that it's just money that will attract soccer fans in America to resemble more like what soccer is in other countries. But I definitely think money would start us down the right path, is what I'm saying.
When it's not, I guess it's not just money. Fame would be the other opposite part of that, right? Because when we're kids, who's on your posters on your wall, right? It's guys like Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, right? Those type of athletes were on the photos on our wall. In Europe, you had guys like Ronaldinho, like I always mess up his name, but like they had soccer players. They didn't have basketball players. They maybe knew about basketball after the Dream Team came through and like Michael Jordan really brought the NBA worldwide, right? And that Dream Team went over to Spain and just demolished everybody in the 92 Olympics, right? So kids for decades and decades looked up and cherished soccer players. That was their heroes when they were little kids. So that's what they're going to play when they go outside. Just like we grew up in Indiana, we went outside and played basketball.
That's right. That's right. You know what? I think we kind of thought we were going to do Journey to Rodtober here, Chris, but we're on basketball. Let's stick with basketball because I'm going to bring us from soccer to basketball. And then I know we have another basketball topic that you want to get to with me. I don't know that I want to talk about it, but we're probably going to have to. But you said that soccer is the dominant sport in Europe and that other sports are secondary. And basketball certainly always has been secondary over there, right? But the Dream Team helped globalize basketball and it made it seem attainable for Europeans. And then they started applying what they do in soccer to basketball. And what are we seeing in the NBA now, Chris? We're seeing these guys that get started in professional systems in Europe where they start playing basketball on a professional level at like 14 and 15 years old. Then they come up and they're playing in the professional leagues as a 17, 18-year-old, and then coming to the United States. Some of the best basketball players in our league now, Chris, are coming from the European model. Do they just do sports better than us? That's the question I'm asking you here.
So I would say when it comes to youth sports, they probably do, right? Our youth sports are tied to our educational system, right? Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but the 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 FC Barcelonas, the Liverpools, the Manchester United, like those sports clubs were were built and put together well before our individual state athletic associations or the NCAA was even put together, right? So they've had this system set up for sports, right? And when I was in Germany as an exchange student, we went to a local sports thing and they had everything for all youth sports. They had basketball, soccer, everything, right? This wasn't a big named, they didn't have any kind of big like Bayern Munich type facility or anything, but this was something in a local town. And every town had that. And they had youth leagues starting from the young all the way up. And so when basketball started getting big in the 90s over there, they had these systems already in place and these groups already ready to play each other and have these tournaments and build this up and build these players up from the ground up. And they have better fundamentals than a lot of our rookies do, right? So, and it's because it's not necessarily tied to education. So they can start playing professionally at a young age because those clubs are already set up that way.
Yeah, you know what? And then that then leads back to the money, right? You said it yourself that there is an investment made from the governments or at least the municipalities. You know what I mean? I don't want to get involved in geopolitical European politics here. I don't know how they fund those things, but they clearly come up with a reason to fund them. They clearly understand the benefit behind funding them, and they are reaping the benefits from them. Whereas in this
You
country,
could
hold
you
on.
can go and join one of those clubs now, though, Rod. That's the thing. It's a membership. Like if you live in Munich, you could pay to be a member of Bayern Munich sporting
Right.
club.
But I would imagine that it doesn't exist solely on membership fees alone. You know what I mean? Like, I'd imagine there's still sizable money that comes from somewhere. And what we have chosen to do in this country is we have decided to not put that burden upon anyone else for the greater good. We have decided to let an outside force make money on the backs of our children in all of these travel leagues and these AAU leagues and these camps and these 5-star clinics and all of these things that these kids are supposed to go to, because if they don't go to them, they're not going to get into the portal to then get the NIL money. And it's, I don't necessarily know what the answer is here, Chris, but it just seems to me that the Europeans might have it more for the heart of sport than they do for money.
Yeah, and speaking of, since we're on this subject, and you brought it up, Rod, so I'm going to bring it up now too. We're getting into it. All right. You've had some time to reflect. We've had the press conference. All right. We know now that there's a difference in opinion between Stevens and the ownership. So tell me, where are you at right now?
You mean on the trade that netted Boston 7-time All-Star Paul George, 1-time second All-NBA member, 2-time third-team All-NBA member, 1-time second in the MVP race, averaged 17 points a game last year, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. You're talking about that player that the Boston Celtics acquired in a shrewd move, Chris? Is that the move you're talking about?
Yeah, Rod, that is.
I think that Brad Stevens told as much of the truth as he could, right? I think he told as much of the truth as he could. I think there were probably some forces that were like, hey, it'd be cool if I didn't have to pay this guy this extension that he's going to want here very, very soon. And it might be cool if maybe we had another opportunity next year instead of this guy's salary going from $57 million to 61.2 or whatever the heck it is. That would be great. But I do believe that Brad Stevens has his eye on where the NBA is going. Okay. I am still angry as all get out for the Celtics about this trade, but I did let some of my anger out about Adam Silver immediately in the aftermath of this trade. And that is ultimately still where I land, Chris. This is about the second apron. This is about the rules that Adam Silver now allows the league to participate under. And it's killing team building, and I ultimately don't think it's best for the long-term health of the league.
Well, I mean, I think Brad Stevens was right when he talked about needing flexibility, because both those guys on the Celtics roster really puts a hurting on building a team around them. Because what was it going to be like in 3 years? They were going to account for almost 80% of the team's salary, right? And that's untenable.
So then you got 20% of your salary for, you still need 12 more guys to fill out an actual legitimate NBA roster.
Right, right. So, like, I think you're right. I think Stevens probably said as much, maybe even more than they would have liked, to be honest, because the owner came out and said it had nothing to do with money, it had to do with building the right team or whatever. I don't know. But something happened, Rod, when I was reading on some of the comments. This wasn't an article. These were Boston Celtics fans that were supposedly, right? Let's just say supposedly, that were talking in a lot of comment sections. And this is something I hadn't personally thought of. Did Boston trade away the wrong guy? Is Jaylen Brown better than Jason Tatum? Because I read a whole lot of comments with people arguing that Brown's the better player, that the Celtics would have been better off keeping Brown and letting Tatum leave for that. You're muted. So distraught, you're muted.
I did see some of that start to burble up, and I am definitely on the other side of that argument. I have been pretty consistent against my Jaylen Brown. The fact that he hasn't fully won my heart, I guess I kind of lost my train of how I was trying to say that there, but I've been pretty clear that he hasn't fully won my heart as a Celtic these past years. And even though I loved all of the things that he helped my team achieve, I found myself always thinking, and it's going to seem like I'm patting myself on the back and that, I mean, it's easy for me to say now, but I always did feel like Jaylen Brown is a little overrated. And I have always tried to be real with the point that too often in the NBA, guys that don't deserve to get paid top dollar get top dollar. And sooner or later, if you're a guy that's getting paid absolute top dollar, and I think Jaylen Brown's like the seventh highest paid player in the NBA, and I'm sorry, he's good and he deserves to get more in a trade than the Celtics got, but he ain't the seventh best player in the NBA. So at some point, that's going to come home to roost. And when you turn the ball over as often as he does, when it sticks with you a little bit, right? Like these are all just true facts. He doesn't average a whole lot of assists. He doesn't have a great 3-point shooting percentage. He has a lot of turnovers. He is pretty forceful in how he wants things to go on his basketball team. So when you start to add all these things up and you factor in that you're going to be the sixth or seventh highest player in the whole NBA, I still think it was a terrible trade, but I'm starting to understand it more.
To our longtime listeners out there, this might be the most composed Rod has ever discussed Jaylen Brown in the history of this podcast. Up until last year, just to remind everybody, Rod has done really nothing but come in and just say how much he hates Jaylen Brown and he drives him crazy every single week and you just can't trust it. He never passed the ball. Like, oh my word, like it was like that for years until last year when you really he did kind of step up. Let's not kid ourselves, right? He stepped up in a big way for Boston last year, and you eased off on him a little bit. But before that, no, let's be honest, you were pretty harsh on Jaylen Brown for most of his career.
I think that's definitely true. I think what we're witnessing here, Chris, is that when Jimmy is not here to kind of help keep things moving and keep a good, calm presence on the podcast, that I tend to just subdue myself a little bit so that in an effort to keep things rolling. But you're right. I probably, in normal circumstances, would be a little bit more heated about this because I'm still, but here's the, okay. If, Chris, all right, this is where I've started to get. Okay. This is where I've started to get. If the Celtics can convince Paul George that they like him, that they have a good season, that things go pretty well. Because I think the Celtics are still going to be pretty good. All right, let's be honest. They didn't want to get rid of Shireman. They didn't want to get rid of Hugo. Peyton Pritchard's going to play a higher role. Jason Tatum's coming back. I think he's going to be better. So the Celtics are still going to be a good team. I don't know if they're going to be top 6 in the East, but they're still going to be a playoff team. So things go well enough for Paul George. Boston fans take it easy on him. Chris, maybe he doesn't take the player option. Maybe he doesn't take the player option because why, Chris? Because he likes the Boston Celtics organization. Maybe he says, you know what? That player option I was going to pick up for $60 million. What if you guys give me $62 million over 2 years and I cut your tax burden in half, but you still get what Paul George is? If somehow the Celtics can pull that off, Chris, then get the flexibility that Brad Stevens is talking about, plus they have the draft picks, Peyton Pritchard with the bigger role. It's still a jarring trade, but I'm starting to get closer to I was a fool for ever thinking I was going to boycott.
I mean, this time last year, right, you were dealing with the Jason Tatum injury and didn't know at this point whether he'd be able to even come back this year, if he was going to play at all, or what would happen, right? And I believe we were kind of in the same area. We're like, I don't know, but maybe they could be a top 6, but like I don't think they're quite out of the playoffs type of discussion, right? And to me, Rod, right now, I think they are a better team today than they were last year at the same time.
Wow. All right. Listen, I love it. But I think the East has a lot of other good teams, and that's what will ultimately hurt the Celtics. We'll have plenty of time to talk about all of that. LeBron still has to decide where he's going to go, so that will be a thing. We've still got some restricted free agents in the NBA. That always gets thorny. Speaking of thorny, we may touch on the WNBA here on this podcast sometime when Jimmy comes back. We're not going to do that tonight, though. We're going to touch on a little baseball here, Chris. I see that the Home Run Derby is going to be on Netflix because Netflix incessantly tells me all about the Home Run Derby coming to Netflix anytime I log onto their platform. So we may talk about that in a second, but maybe you should catch me up on what's going on with the Cubs. How are things going for the Northsiders?
Well,
Journey to Rodtober. We're doing Journey to Rodtober here, fans, if you didn't realize.
If you wanted to build a middle of the road, decent pitching staff for a major league team, you could do that with the injured list for the Cubs. The Cubs have a pitcher's injured list that has the names and the talent on there to fully staff a Major League Baseball team. That's on their injured list. It is tough for our pitchers. We just got trounced by St. Louis, Rod, 17-1. It was a sad day.
Are we close to calling the Bulldog Ted Lilly up and seeing if he can throw a few innings for us, Chris? Is it getting that bad?
I would love it. I would love it. Probably
love
not
Ted
though.
Lilly.
Right.
Jake Arrieta? Can we get Jake Arrieta out of the mountains doing whatever it is that he's doing and throw a couple innings for us?
Oh, I bet you his arm's fresh, right? But and it really hurts us because we're still in second place. We're about 7 games back from Milwaukee, who has probably the best rotation in the majors right now. But them and the Dodgers, I guess. Hey, PCA is turning it around. Like, he's now hitting the ball. He's now he got 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. So that's back-to-back seasons with at least a 2020. So our bats are still batting for the most part. We just need pitchers to get healthy. And I think some of them are now down for the year.
And I think I was watching PTI because I still check in with Tony and Mike from time to time whenever I am around at 5:30. And one Dansby Swanson. Sounds like he was on a bit of a hot streak for the Cubs there for a little while, tearing the cover off the ball, right? You got to love a guy that
he had 15 RBIs in 24 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely tearing the cover off the ball. You got to love it when a guy who sounds like a golf pro is just absolutely tearing it up for your baseball team. You got to love that.
We got a guy that sounds like a golf pro, and then to be honest, Pete Crow Armstrong sounds like a middle school kid. So it's very rare. Who also he hit for the cycle as well. In reverse, started with a home run, triple, double, finished with a single, right?
Style points. I like it.
Right. Got to the All-Star game again. PCA did. So, right. It's not horrible. It's just Milwaukee is slowly becoming the new real enemy for Cubs fans, more so than the Cardinals ever could be now, I think. Because it seems like this every year, Rod. We tried to take their manager from them to stop this from happening. It's not. Hasn't worked. Still Milwaukee getting the division every year. I hate it.
Well, listen, the Cubs they're trying to turn it around. Baseball is trying to garner a new audience. Will we see any weird stuff with Netflix here, Chris? Like when there's a ball that's traveling really, really high, will they all of a sudden cut to the next preview for their newest murder documentary? Will that be happening during the Home Run Derby on Netflix? Like, what are we going to see that's different?
You're definitely going to see Netflix-specific things on there, right? I think it's smart. If I'm baseball, I think this is smart because this is Netflix. Netflix is worldwide, right? It's going to be everywhere now. And a lot of people will get used to it. I think the change they're making with the home run derby is going to be smart, right? It's not going to be timed. So you're not going to have batters feel rushed that they have to swing at everything. They get 20 swings now in round 1. I think that's perfect. They're going to swing at the pitches they want, and they're going to hit bombs. We've still got a few slots to open up. I'm hoping that Kyle Schwarber gets into it. He leads the majors in home runs with 30 right now. He's hitting the cover off the ball, but it should be good.
Be nice if Kyle Schwarber was still in a Cubs uniform, but we're not going to go over that old ground again. What we are going to do,
right? There's Wilson Contreras is also a Cub, and he's going to be in the home run derby, and he used to be a Cub, and there's too many like Cubs guys in the All-Star game right now. It's like, oh, I wish you were still back here.
Yep. Whatever happened to Chris Bryant and Javi Baez? That's also another thing that we could talk about. But what we will talk about, even though our fearless Obi-Wan Kenobi, our Yoda, the Jedi Master of wrestling on this particular podcast, Jimmy Jamariska, is not here, but Chris and I will do our best to take a journey into wrestling entertainment with the Yeah We Know portion of the Morgan You Know podcast. All right, Chris, I think we could all smell it coming from a mile away. They were telling us that Raw in Chicago was going to be a big deal. They were hyping championship matches that were going to happen at the Raw in Chicago. Cody, Sami was set up after a number 1 contenders match on SmackDown. All of the signs pointed to a huge Monday Night Raw in Chicago. And Chris, boy, did we ever get a huge Monday Night Raw. Do you want to start at the end, or is there somewhere else you want to start with Raw?
There's times in wrestling where you have some characters that you have grown to love and cherish when you get and maybe they're mid cards, right? Maybe they're people you don't get to see every week, but every time they come on, they do something great. We've talked about these guys in the past, how they are able to emote complete emotions and everything without saying a word, and everything they do is great. The people get behind them, and to get just like dismissed and shunned, kind of like they were on Monday night. I'm talking about Otis and Tozawa, Rod. Otis and Tozawa. I don't think they were treated fairly. That's where I want to start.
Man, it really was, right? We'd seen a little bit of allusion to Maxine and Austin Theory. We'd seen the classic WWE tell where Austin Theory told Maxine, "Get away from me. I don't want to see you anymore," or whatever it was that he said. So that, of course, meant that Maxine was going to have to do something to win back his love and win back his trust and his affection. And she came out and she low blowed Angelo, I believe it was. Was it your boy Angelo Dawkins who caught the low blow, or was it Montez
Yep.
Ford? It doesn't matter. She low blowed
That was
one of
Angelo.
them. It was Angelo. Of course it was. Montez never takes the pin. Your guy Montez never takes the pin. That's something we can talk about another time. But she low blows Angelo Dawkins, and the Vision wins the tag team belts back. And thank goodness, because Paul Heyman basically gave him an ultimatum, Chris, right before that match, that if they didn't win, they shouldn't even bother looking for him backstage.
Well, he didn't give him any kudos at the end either, because he gave them all to her, right? Which, if I'm a fan of Maxine, seeing her team up with Paul Heyman in the future could be something big. Like if she really wants to push it, like that would be a good move for her, I think.
So now we know Jimmy knows more about wrestling than me, but to my knowledge, Paul Heyman has never really thrown his weight behind a female superstar. So that would be quite a push for Maxine Dupree if they decided to go there. I'd find that interesting myself because I don't know that Maxine is incredibly skilled at the art of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, if you know what I'm saying, Chris, but she certainly has the charisma and a few of the other things that can also make one pretty popular at the art of professional wrestling. So it'll be interesting to see where they go there. But are you sad to see the belts go off the Street Profits, or does it not really matter? Angelo and Montez are made guys. It's fine. It was their 5th time winning the belt. It just adds to their resume.
I mean, I'm a fan of the Street Profits, right? And I think Montez Ford is one of the better wrestlers in the company as far as putting on a show and something fun to watch. I don't know how many people do it better than him, but I don't like the Vision, so of course I don't want to see them with the belts, and I want the Profits to have a longer run than just a few weeks, right? I, I know I've been on here before talking about how I want to see belts change hands during Raw and SmackDown, right? But I want them to change hands to my guys.
All right, so let's go to the next belt that went up on Monday Night Raw. We had Raquel Rodriguez, who is part of the Vision, not the Vision, excuse me, the Judgment Day, who get plenty of camera time. We've seen some sort of an angle where Liv is maybe annoying the Judgment Day, maybe not annoying the Judgment Day. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on there. She goes out in the ring with Sol Ruca. All the Judgment Day comes out, and it looks as if maybe Raquel is going to steal the belt just like the Vision stole the belt. And then Chris, the minute that Sol Ruca, goodness, I can't even speak, retained that belt, I knew Sami Zayn was in trouble.
Well, I didn't, because I thought this was still repercussions from the curse that Danhausen gave Liv. All right. As far as I'm concerned, that's still going on. Everything that she has done since then has not worked out in her favor. She lost the Queen of the Ring. Anytime that she's been out at the ring in a match, her team has lost. So I put this on her being cursed as for why Raquel lost. The fact that she's cursed and went out there.
That's a very good point. I did forget about the curse of it all. Let's take a quick little sidebar to our guy Danhausen here, Chris. It would seem that we're trying to maybe Matt Cardona, look at me. Danhausen's got me calling him his old name, Zack Ryder, mixed with his new name, Matt Cardona. It would seem like maybe Matt Cardona is going to get his abilities upped maybe through his association with Danhausen. And it also seems as if Kit Wilson and The Miz are basically going to do a personality swap, right? That's where we're headed.
Please, let's see that personality swap. As far as I'm concerned, right now, the Miz can do no wrong. I think everything he's doing is gold right now. And if I'm Matt Ryder, I'm also hitching my wagon to Danhausen. All right, why would I not? I've been king of the Indies apparently, right? And here I can attach myself to the hottest selling merch guy in WWE, the hottest thing right now. And if I can get into a situation where every time he's on screen, I'm on screen, that can only give me more opportunities to build my brand up. So good for him, right? And as
So
far as I'm concerned, I'm still waiting to see what the hell's underneath the sheet, though. Because that guy
that's a
looks
very
huge.
That's a very good. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna do there. Also, by that rationale, then Chris, we will start liking JD McDonough a little bit more here in the next coming weeks because he is the one who gets to take on Danhausen at Madison Square Garden, which he will be hailed like a conquering hero coming back into the Garden after the Knicks won the NBA championship. So, goodness gracious, you thought the pop for Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico was big, Chris, or a pop for
Oh,
Sami Zayn in Canada was big. Just wait till Danhausen comes home to New York.
I mean, I can't wait to see what the decibel reading is going to be in there, right? And if I'm the WWE, and I'm not saying they do this, I'd be pumping in some more extra crowd noise for that too, just to make it even crazier. But it's going to be insane because he is like a god there right now.
Because I mean, Jalen Brunson is going to have to be there, right? Jalen Brunson's a big WWE fan, so he's going to be there, right? There's going to be some. I mean, it's just going to be huge for Danhausen. All right, Chris, let's go to the other huge seismic news in the WWE. Cody, Sami have one of their typical tete-a-tetes back and forth, and then Gunther, of course, the WWE's new Karen, Gunther comes out of nowhere, attacks Cody Rhodes. Then he slams his head, Chris. Are we supposed to believe that Cody's head was caught between Gunther slamming the car door and the actual car itself? Are we supposed to believe that Cody basically curb stomped or Cody got curb stomped by Gunther with the car door? Is that what we're to believe happened?
I'm pretty sure I've seen Tony Soprano do that move, and it, or 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 maybe was that in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I can't remember, but I believe I've seen a guy take like 10 of those before he was finally finished off. So yeah, I think Cody could have taken one.
I think all that happened was he was bleeding out of his ear. I think, right? So they at least like they didn't just give him a cut above his eye or on his forehead. So at least they did that well. So we know that Cody Rhodes is going to be pulled out of this match. Okay, the crowd is yelling CM Punk the entire time. Okay, Phil is from Chicago. We all know that it's going to be him in the main event. So it gets announced that Nick Aldis has an opponent. We all know it's going to be CM Punk. They raise up the garage doors, and of course, it's CM Punk. He comes out, and listen, Chris, I'm not going to lie. I know you're not a big CM Punk fan, and I did not mean any respect to him a second ago when I called him Phil. But those two guys put on an absolute banger. All right, seeing CM Punk, who is a king of the indies in a way, wrestling El Generico, who was Sami Zayn before. He was Sami Zayn in the WWE for the WWE Championship. Oh, I mean, chef's kiss. It was an absolute great match. But if there was ever anybody who was destined for the mankind treatment in the WWE, it was Sami Zayn, and he got it because CM Punk is now your new champion.
You guys have taught me over the last few years, right? And I guess I'm not new anymore, but like you get screwed when you're in your home crowd. You don't win at home. I saw it at Clash at the Castle with my boy, right? We saw it in Canada with KO before. Like we've seen it in Australia with people or blah blah blah, right? And then we go ahead and the WWE and Triple H thinks it's fine to do it on a Monday night with Phil in Chicago. Like, seriously? No. Like, I don't like it at all. I didn't like Sammy as a champion, but I liked it better than I liked Phil as a champion, especially him getting to win it in Chicago. No.
Oh, the Allstate Arena is his backyard too. He's had so many matches there. I mean, so many big CM Punk
It
moments
was
have
a
happened at
and
the
it was a
Allstate
good
Arena.
match, right? You're not wrong. Like it was a good match. The guys can wrestle, right? But like I don't like either one. I hate Phil, and I'm shocked that he is still so popular when he was so hated when he was outside of the company. It's crazy to me still. So
Okay, let me ask you this then. All right, let me ask you this. Try to put your hatred for Phil aside here. Who is he going to wrestle at SummerSlam? Is he going to wrestle Cody? Is he going to wrestle Sami? Is he going to wrestle Gunther?
Well, you're gonna see Cody wrestle Sammy again now, probably next Monday, right? Because they'll beef about who has the right to now fight in SummerSlam. Because Cody's gonna say, "I beat Jay for the number one contender for the belt. Had nothing to do with who's wearing the belt." And
Okay,
then
all
Sammy's
right.
like, "I just lost the belt. I need to have a rematch so I can get the belt back." Right? So they'll fight, and then Gunther will do something to somebody and he'll think that he deserves a shot, and then we'll have a triple threat match at SummerSlam. Because that's what we do
Okay.
with this belt now.
All right, that's fine, but there's four dance partners right now for a triple threat
It's
match. So does
it's
Sammy get
gonna
left
be
out?
no, it's probably Sammy gets left out, right? Because I imagine unless Gunther wants to get Sammy back, so he tries to interfere in the Sammy Cody match for their chance to get in against Phil, and he comes in and tries to do something to make sure Sammy wins, and it backfires. So who knows? But whoever comes out of that Cody Sammy match, that'll be the third in this triple threat, and it'll probably be Cody. Sam will get left out, and he'll be talking to his therapist Johnny Gargano again.
All right, let me throw a little wrench in at you here. Is Oba Femi going to wrestle twice at SummerSlam? Because
No,
it
I don't.
easily, right? Because Oba could easily anchor night one in his Hell in a Cell blood feud with Brock Lesnar. And if he handles Lesnar the way that we all think he probably should to continue to build the character of the ruler, the king of the ring, Oba Femi, then he'd be fine to take on somebody on night two.
If anybody could do it, it's Oba, and boy, wouldn't that just like push him
Is it
to
too much
this?
too soon? That's what I mean. Is it too much too soon if you let him
I
essentially
don't
do
know,
what
like
Cody did at WrestleMania?
if you're gonna push somebody hard and fast, Oba's the guy who can do it. Like he was so good on the mic the other night, right?
Yeah.
When he
He
was
really
going
is.
at it with
He's
Heyman,
better. He's better. Yeah, he's better than he's got his character down. He knows that he gets
that whole
forcefulness through
heaven and
few
hell
words.
thing, that whole
Yeah.
heaven and
Yeah.
hell thing at the end was perfect. Like I was in. I was like, yes, right. Like I don't know. Like I really think you could push him. Like that would just propel him to another level quicker. You'd have to almost then put him against. I mean, what it'd be him and Roman at what would it be, Survivor Series, right? Would that be the next big one that they would have? Maybe Roman do something.
Here's the thing. You're probably right that Oba's not going to main event both nights because I think at this point you have it staring at you in the face. Oba, Brock main events night one, and then whoever is going to, or no, I guess Seth and Roman can be a main event on one of the nights as well. So
Roman's gonna win a main event.
that's a big match. And let's just get to that now, then, Chris. Speaking of oil in the flies in the ointment, wrench in the monkey, whatever it was that I said a minute ago, I think I lost the thread there. But your guy, LA Knight, came out after Seth Rollins, one of the best promo cutters in the entire WWE, was cutting a pretty darn good promo and eviscerating Roman Reigns. LA Knight had the gall, Chris, to interrupt the visionary, the revolutionary, and come out to the ring. And I'll be damned if he didn't cut a pretty good promo himself. Now, Jimmy and I talked about this, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, Chris. LA Knight has a tendency to get a little excited, stumble on his words a little bit. He tends to do it quite a bit in big spots, but the passion is there, the words are there, the storytelling is there. But it's like LA Knight, you just got to breathe a little bit, brother. This is the spot. The best don't trip on their words. You got to figure out a way to stop tripping on your words.
Uh, Everything you said is right. Right. I will say that it comes off when LA Knight's doing it. You can tell he's not taking that pause, that beat that Rollins does so well, right? Rollins can have that pause between almost any word, and it just works, and he lets it sit, right? Where with LA Knight, you still get almost that raw emotion behind it a little bit, and that's kind of where it's coming from. So like even though you can tell he's stumbling through it, like that raw emotion is still like right there in your face, like and with Rollins, he's got the composure part down and the delivery down. He doesn't have that raw emotion quite like you see in LA Knight all the time, though. But he doesn't need it because he's got everything else that can do it for you.
And because the story that they're telling, Chris, is great, right? Rollins doesn't have to be that emotional because he's the guy on top, right? I'm the top dog. I'm the big man around here. LA Knight, you are not, right? The other thing that I love about this storyline, Chris, and I think, and you correct me here if I'm wrong, but a reason why you like it is it's not trumped up, made up stuff. It's not just, hey, you did this to me in the back. Now I'm mad at you. Or we said that we have to fight one another and you have this belt. I'm mad at you. This is, you screwed me over here. And then these guys screwed me over here. And now you two are kind of together. And all of you guys continue to screw me and keep me from being the top dog in this business, right? And it's like, it just seems so real. It's the perfect storyline for LA Knight when we all sit on podcasts like this and say, damn it, give LA Knight a chance. It only makes sense for LA Knight to walk up to somebody like Seth Rollins and be like, damn it, you've held me back.
Right? It's because it's rooted in truth. Because we've seen it on TV. We've seen it on PLEs. We've discussed it on this podcast, right? How much do I hate the bloodline because of things like what they did to LA Knight years ago or to Drew years ago? I still remember. I'm still upset. The person they did it to should be as well. And the fact that he is, and he's going out there and saying this in front of everybody and to the people that it's that's been affecting him, like I love it. Like it's real, it's right there. We all have seen it, so it's not made up, right? It's perfect.
It's, do you know what else it is, Chris? It's respecting us as fans. It's paying off for time spent watching, okay? It's allowing things that we chose to spend our time doing. We chose to tune into your product and we saw you present these storylines to us. So make them mean something. Don't just trump up big names in 4 weeks and regurgitate that for us at PLEs. Pay off the long-term story that you made us invest in. And if they do this LA Knight thing right, Chris, they'll be doing that, right? If they do something with Gunther and Sami and CM Punk, they'll be paying off a long-term storyline that makes sense. I just hope, Chris, that we see as we get closer to SummerSlam that all of these matches we're excited about right now stay the way they are, and we don't see a repeat of what happened at SummerSlam, where a lot of matches we were excited about all of a sudden became changed.
Now, let me bring something up. You threw a couple wrenches at me. I'm going to throw one at you, all right? Right. We have seen, especially in the last year and a half, where we have seen these exciting storylines start to build up and like, oh, this is really interesting. This would go a really cool way. I like what they're doing here. Bam, someone gets injured and they're out for 6 months and you have to see an immediate change. Do you think that the WWE has maybe learned their lesson and they're doing something like this with Rollins and LA Knight and Roman Reigns just in case somebody does end up getting hurt? You have multiple different avenues already in the works right now. So if somebody does get hurt and injured, you still have a clear path of where you can go.
So you're saying instead of flying by the seat of our pants when an unexpected injury comes up, you're saying maybe there's a bit of an eye to let's have a couple of back doors built in as we're going along with stories. Is that what you're saying they might be doing? Mm-hmm. I could buy that. I could buy
right?
that.
Because this Rollins and Roman feud, right? It really doesn't need a third party necessarily to play itself out, right? Because this is paying off people who have watched WWE since the Shield was around, all right, and before. So this is a long-term payoff for people who have been paying attention. You don't necessarily need anything, but we saw recently with Rollins especially and the vision, like, shit, we got to make a quick pivot. Well, now we have LA Knight right here. We're already working on this. He has an end with Roman if Rollins goes down, or with Rollins if Romans goes down, or whatever, right? That's kind of where I was going with that.
No, I like that. I like that an awful lot. And let's touch on the female component of wrestling here a little bit. Let's not make it seem like we're just completely a misogynistic wrestling show here. We did touch on the Saul Ruka match a little bit. I think, Chris, going into SummerSlam, You can tell me EO Live rematch. Okay, sure, fine. But like, I think right now what's going on with the United States Championship is a bit more exciting, right? What exactly is going to happen with Charlotte Flair? What exactly is going to happen with Chelsea Green? I'm a little more excited about the U.S. Championship right now than I am the main event scene per se on the women's side.
You're not wrong, right? Because there's some big names in that U.S. champion. Like I know we talk a little bit of trash and smack towards Jade or Trish, right? Like, but like these are big names in on the women's side in WWE, and they are all kind of involved, like long term great wrestlers, Hall of Famers, right? You have essentially Charlotte, Alexa, Chelsea, Trish, Jade, her squad. I mean, there's a lot of big names here, right? All around essentially one belt, which is crazy but fun. And give me more
I
Chelsea
also,
Green.
for sure, for sure, there's never enough Chelsea Green. The other thing that I think I like about this, it seems as if we may be bringing about Alexa Charlotte ending. But I'm going to be happier, to be honest with you, Chris, if it ends this way, right? And it's not just Charlotte like stabs Liv in the back or Liv stabs Charlotte in the back. Like it just kind of fizzles out, or like they both just realize, you know what, like our ambition and we're just not alike enough. And they just kind of, I'd much rather see them fizzle out that way. I don't want to see either one of these screw the other, I guess is what I'm saying. Please, WWE.
You want to see them stay best friends.
That'd be great, but I don't think that that's where we're headed. So I'd rather see like what was it? It was Gwyneth Paltrow and Brad Pitt back in the day who said they had a conscious uncoupling. That's what I want to see happen between Charlotte and Liv. I don't want to see anybody screw the other.
If I don't think anybody had Gwyneth Paltrow on their bingo cards tonight.
No, listen, that's why I'm the host, Chris. You never know what reference I'm going to pull. All right, we're going to go into the Taylor Swift wedding now. No, we're not. We don't have any takes on the Taylor Swift wedding. We do, though, Chris, have to pay off something to one of our biggest fans. All right, one of the WWE's newest big fans, and that is Ada Storm, who just recently celebrated a birthday. I was supposed to shout her out last week and give her a big happy birthday from the Yeah We Know wrestling crew. And Chris, I of course forgot. So we got to say happy birthday to Big Ada Storm right here.
Ooh, does that mean she's gonna give you like a Stone Cold Stunner now, since you forgot to give her a shout out last week? Ada, you give Rod a stunner.
Well, see,
Dax will let you.
she's a big Rhea Ripley fan, Chris, and she also likes Danhausen. So I'm worried that I may be getting a Riptide and a curse all at the same time.
Ada, if you can give Rod a riptide, we need to video that and put that on the pod.
That is what I'm saying. But the thing that I love about Ada being into wrestling the most, Chris, is that we forget it sometimes, right? You and I just sat here, me almost 50 years old, you well older than that, and we just argued about wrestling. But Ada, well younger than me at almost 50 years old, and you as a Highlander, and she likes wrestling too. And that's what's great about it, right? Because Ada, like in wrestling now, is bringing her father Dax back to wrestling. And such is the cycle of wrestling, Chris. That's how it continues to be. That's how there continues to be fans and merch gets sold and shows continue to get produced.
Yep, Dax, you jumped in full 2 feet full fledged, right? You're watching everything. He's letting us know too, isn't he?
There is, like,
We love it, Dax.
Jimmy and I are kind of like the Johnny Appleseeds of wrestling. We are just going around and we are just planting seeds of wrestling in our friends. We brought you to the dark side. Look where you are all these years later. Dax is coming to the dark side now. So the word is out there to Cowboy Derek and to Wu-Tang and to Pete and to Roberts and some of the other boys from our group chat that appear on this podcast. Sooner or later, you guys are going to come to wrestling too.
And with that, you've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morgan You Know podcasting network. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yes,
Goodbye,
and please check out the 90s sitcom available in this very feed, and check out the excellent work that Jimmy Jam did on the podcast Rock Draft that I do with all my friends over at Classic Rock 97.7. Check either one of those out. We'll be back at you next week, and I promise Jimmy will be back here and it'll seem much more classy.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, we're all thumbs with this. This is why we need Jimmy.
That's right. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Like Chris said, we'll see you next time.